fully aware that credibility is central to all asylum determinations. It's not the only issue, but without credibility, the claimant is going to have major problems. Can you tell the adjudicators how clinicians go about evaluating whether applicants may be malingering or attempting to deceive?
I think this is a very germane question. The stakes are high with the asylum process, and if people are successful in their claims, they get to stay in this country. And I've been reasonably asked when being cross-examined, isn't it possible that someone is lying? And the answer is yes, it is possible. I wanted to talk about malingering specifically, though, as a type of misrepresentation that clinicians are used to recognizing and dealing with. And the perception out there is that people are trying to make themselves a more convincing patient, and so they're coming to us and they're saying things like, well, hello, doctor, my attorney wanted me to see you because I'm having problems with nightmares, flashbacks, intrusive thoughts. I'm remembering all these bad things that happened to me. I'm avoiding people, places, and things that remind me of the event. And by the way, I have a foreshortened sense of future hyperstartle response, and so forth. Did I leave anything out? Oh, yes, I'm numb, and I can't concentrate. Any questions? And that is what a malingering patient looks like. They do come in, and they've read the list of criteria for a specific disorder, and those are the criteria, as you know, for PTSD specifically, although, as David's mentioned, we look for many other kinds of conditions as well, and even for people who have evidence of trauma but may not have a diagnosable condition per se. But most people, so those kinds of patients are quite detectable. And what happens with them, and this gets back to the issue of internal consistency that you were talking about, is when you start to probe a little bit, in fact, things sort of fall apart. And one thing that malingering patients don't realize is that, in fact, most people in real life have some symptoms, but not all symptoms. And most people who come through our offices, at least the ones who are not malingering, which is really most of them, those are the ones who'll tell you when things are going well. And they'll say, well, yeah, I did have nightmares, but actually I'm better now, thank you. Or, they also have reasons to want to avoid talking about their symptoms because they may be too painful. They don't want to get into what they're having nightmares about. They want to wake up and forget about them, for example. So there is a appreciable difference between someone who is malingering and someone who is not malingering. And the other comment I would make is that typically when you talk to a malingering patient who's read you that laundry list of symptoms, they start to get a little bit brittle. They've already read you the list. Why are you peppering them with additional questions? And they get kind of irritable and defensive. When you talk with someone who's not malingering about their legitimate condition, they actually start to open up. They warm up to you. They feel understood. They feel they appreciate the questions, and they're happy to tell you again what's going well and what's not going well. So these are relatively easy clinical distinctions to make. Now they may be lying about other things in their claim, and we don't know that. Our scope is really to focus on the clinical presentation, and I think that we can actually do quite successfully.
This is an accurate presentation. I would say that there's an issue about PTSD that frequently I have actually gotten requests for a report in the form of, we need a PTSD evaluation. Well, that's not what we do. We do mental health evaluations that assess all those issues that I talked about and then arrive at a diagnostic impression based on all that information. And it may be PTSD, it may be residual PTSD, something that happened earlier. Frequently it's depression, sometimes depression and PTSD, sometimes it's anxiety of another variety, sometimes it's a psychotic condition. But there's no assumption that PTSD is the automatic consequence of trauma, nor is there an assumption that a person who doesn't have PTSD is therefore not a trauma survivor. So these are clinical judgments that we're asked to make, and our expertise is the manner by which we make those judgments.
Thank you, David. Now,